facing head-on the emotions beneath the surface as we bridge from an old world of confusion and lack to a beautiful new world of freedom, abundance, and love with straightforward truth and inspired hope is what you'll find on The Charla Anderson Show. Collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating. Here's your host, Charla Anderson.
Good, beautiful day, you beautiful, beautiful souls. This is Charla Anderson, host of the Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating, especially you. I'm so grateful that you would join us today. We're on Win-Win Women Network and got out on Poditize podcasting and have a fun guest today that we're going to have a really good conversation about, faith, primarily, I think, because that's who I am, is bold faith. And she's writing books about those things. Debbie Adams, and I'll introduce her to you right after we do our introductory little mini vacation, a little 22 seconds of breathing exercise just to get centered and grounded and breathe in the breath of life. So if you'll join me, we're going to breathe in calm for 7 seconds. We're going to hold for 4 seconds, and we're going to breathe out gratitude for 11 seconds. So quick and easy, but let's try it. Ready, set, here we go. Breathe in calm for 7. Hold. Release. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Just helps me get grounded. We're always on our techie devices, and next thing you know, we don't have, we've not touched a piece of real material, a tree or a grass or anything for a while, and so it's a good idea just to take that moments several times a day sometimes to just get centered. Anyway, I'm excited to introduce to you Debbie Adams, a fellow author with Beyond Publishing, and we met through Michael Butler, and she's a #1 best-selling author, as you can see on the banner behind her, just like I am, and we just got all this done this year. It's really fun, and getting to know other authors and sharing all that. And Debbie, I want you to give us a little bit of, just tell us who you are in this world, and then then we'll talk about what you do, and where are you from?
Well, I am from Middle Tennessee, and I live about 30 minutes from Nashville. And everybody has heard of Nashville, the country music place to go. And I grew up on a farm, and I had horses and cows, and I played in the barn loft as a child, and that's where I would take a book and go read, or a lot of times I would have my paper with me, and I would just write little short stories that would pop in my head. And I think that is probably where God was starting my journey of becoming an author. And my dad used to take me to the local library every Saturday. And my dad was an avid reader. He's still an avid reader. And I got my love for reading from him, I do believe. And now I have a love for writing. And I've always loved to help people in any way that I could. If somebody needs groceries, if somebody needs a ride, to the doctor or whatever, if I hear about it, if I'm able, I will help. I mean, even as a small child, I would try to help, my friends and stuff. So, and that's what led me to writing faith books. And I believe God has placed on my heart to write faith books in order to help others in whatever they're going through in their journey of life.
Well, we're very similar in that, I'm a server, right? I'm a server as a flight attendant in all those years, and just how can I make a difference? How can I make a difference? In fact, one of my little books is Candy Bar Hugs. Doesn't take much to make a difference. And we have So we have that in common. It's like, what do you need? How can I help? So that's a commonality. And I think there's, a lot of them seem like mothers tend to have that too, just this, how can I make a difference? And so you're in Middle Tennessee. I've got a sister and a son that live in west of Nashville as well. We have, Tennessee, such a beautiful state too. Love it, love it, love it. So you were raised on a farm, and was it chickens and cows and goats and horses, or was it corn and cotton and or all of the above?
It's pretty much all of the above. I mean, we had, the mom and dad, had the vegetable garden, and, that's where she cooked her Southern meals from all the stuff that we grew in the garden. But we also had cows and horses, and I rode the horses. I still love horses to this day, and had chickens and goats. I hate goats to this day because I got chased by goats as a child.
But those baby goats are so cute.
yeah, they are cute, but
just as babies.
I think they traumatized me as a child, chasing me while I was, trying to ride my bike or whatever. So they are cute, but no, I won't have nothing to do with them now.
So you published a book. I love the title, actually the subtitle of your first book. And I mean, a Southern Belle secret. That sounds pretty fun. But it's about living a life of bliss. And, there's a lot of people in our world right now that could use some hope and use some bliss. They could use some of those things you're talking about, and may or may not have. So much is mindset. And what I teach is mindset. How you think, what you speak is so important, right? So how did you come up with that title, Southern Belle Secret, and tell the whole title of the book?
It's Unlocking the Code to Bliss, a Southern Belle Secret. And
hold it up right here by your face. There we go.
Yeah. And there's a picture of it right there. There's the actual book. And with this being my first book, I had went to a retreat in California with one of my she's a friend now, but back then she was just an acquaintance, but she was giving a retreat and to some of her Facebook followers on how to write a book. And so I went to that. It was 3 days, and she taught that on your first book, nobody knows you, nobody has ever heard of you, so you need to get a title that will make them look and think again, and like, I need to grab that book. And so that's how the Unlocking the Code to Bliss came about. And since I'm from Tennessee, and some people joke around, about my accent. I have a Southern accent, and so I wanted to put a little bit of like the Southern Belle theme in there. And the sun is coming through my window. Sorry, and it was blinding me. And so I put. It's basically about having a healthy lifestyle God's way. And I give a lot of information on how God created our bodies, from our brain to just everything in our body. And I talk about intermittent fasting and stuff like that. And it's a lot of information. And so I wanted to put some fun stuff in there too, as well, not just a book filled with information, because to me that will be boring, and I didn't want to write a boring book. And so I think it might be a chapter, maybe 2 chapters, where I talk about the Southern Belles. Like my favorite movie is Gone with the Wind. Scarlett O'Hara. I can't talk like her. And so I talk a lot about that, and how they dress, what they eat, and so just something a little different to attract somebody to want to read my book. And while they're getting all of the fun stuff about what is a Southern Belle, how do they act, how they they'll also get the other stuff that I talk about, like going outside and getting the sunshine, and how sunshine can give you energy, and help you to get through your day, if you're having a hard time. I still do that. I will go outside. I mean, I work a full-time job, so on breaks I'll go outside if it's nice weather, and I'll just walk around in our backyard, because we have 2 acres, and I got plenty of space to walk around. And the sun, just getting vitamin C, I mean, that helps more than people realize.
And the vitamin D, yeah. So and that's what I was talking about in the very beginning about this meditation kind of a thing. It's we don't get in nature very much. We're inundated with all these electronics and machines and lights, and I think more people need to do that. Turn off their device for a few minutes and just go walk barefooted if you can, and get, just let the earth feed you. This is a created living earth, right? So we can feel that. So I think that's very brilliant. So you talk about all types of things in that, and the how to get your bliss through through focusing on how we were created, right?
Yes. You focus on how God created us, and then I put things in there, and I talk about, I'm sure everybody's heard, the term having a clean gut. And I talk about, that how your gut is related to other things. And I'll give you some of the chapters that are in there. I first start off with defining what healthy is, and why we should be healthy. And back when I wrote this book, that it was post-COVID, and remember, everybody, a lot of people were, at home, didn't go out very often. And so I'm sure most people like me had put on, a few pounds. And so I decided that I needed to get rid of, those few pounds. And so that's how I came up with, a healthy lifestyle, and wanting to let people know what to do to get a healthy lifestyle. You can't, people might look at themselves and like, oh, I don't want to go on a diet, but my book's not a diet book. It's, it talks about how you can really, get a healthy lifestyle, and also get rid of the few pounds, that you were wanting to get rid of. And I talk about fruits and vegetables, and in your gut, and intermittent fasting. And then I end it, well, I put the Southern Belle in there, in the middle. And then I end it with taking care of yourself, and self, I think it's called, let me look one more time, self-help.
Well, self-care is
self-care. Yeah.
So self-care. So many people think that is selfish, but selfish means taking care of self. It's not self-centeredness. It's not that yucky side of things, right? So it's self-care is taking care of self. You cannot serve from an empty cup, right? So my analogy, you've got a cup and a saucer, and anybody, there's a lot of people don't know what saucers are anymore. But remember, in the day, you pour it, and if you would keep that cup full and serve from the saucer, let the overflow go into the saucer and serve from the saucer, I believe that is an analogy of keeping yourself cared for. So that's it's tremendous. It's huge to recognize that. Used to feel like, oh, if I'm doing it for me, then it's selfish, but it's not. It's absolutely important to so you can keep
Yeah,
your
because we have to
energy
take
up.
care of ourselves.
Because we want to take care of others as well. And it's not selfish. I loved that when I finally realized that it's not selfish to take care of me and to really consciously do that sometimes. So your next book is you want to hold that one up too. It's wait, Divine Promises. I've got to find it in the right spot on the Zoom thing,
Yeah,
right in front of
right
in front of your camera, probably. Right, that's close. Okay. Anyway, Divine Promises.
right there.
Fulfilling. There we go. Fulfilling divine. Tell me what it is.
It's Divine Promises, trusting God's faithfulness.
Trusting God's faithfulness. Okay, so you're both, books about faith, about your faith. You're really a strong believer, and I'm raised very strong in the church as well, and we have, so faith is huge to me because in my third book that's not out yet, it's going to be called Outrageously Courageous, Bold Faith, No Fear, Step Towards the Gun. And because what you say after the words I am is who you are in that moment, who you become if you say them long enough. And so my second book, Split Second Transformation, Change Your Words, Change Your Life, 31 Daily Practices, it's a small book, but it's powerful because if you don't, you got to watch what you say. And because I had said for many years who I am is bold faith, no fear, which I don't know why I started saying that, but I did. And then when I had a gun at my head right here, I stepped towards that gun and said, you need love. And they ran. And the story behind that, the bigger story, is that I didn't have fear in that moment. I was shaken. They stole stuff I didn't like, but I stepped towards them and they ran, but without fear. So that was I do believe it's because I had been speaking life over myself. Who I am is bold faith, no fear. Right. So, and so yours is trusting with the faithfulness. And when we are faithful, we receive, everything's reciprocal. So tell me a little more about that book, because it's lovely.
It is basically my life story. And before I wrote that book, God told me that I have a testimony and I need to share it to the world, which I do. I had cancer 15 years ago, so I'm thankful to God. I am cancer free 15 years. And I thank him every day for keeping me healthy. And anybody that has ever been hit with cancer, they know you are thankful for every day that you're able to wake up and, do a normal day. And so that's what started the book. And then he gave me the title Divine Promises. And we as humans will promise each other, oh, I will come help you to do this, or I'll be there for you. But as humans, sometimes we can't do that. I mean, things might come up and it's like, oh, I can't come help you today or whatever. But with God, God is divine, and he will never, he will always be there. He will never leave us. He will never forsake us. And that's one of my favorite promises in the Bible. And so that's what started that book on top of my testimony. And I talk about the promise of healing, and I talk about my cancer. And then I talk about the promise of protection. And there was a time, I guess, I don't remember how long ago, but 15, 20 years, something like that. And I was home alone with my dogs and the cat, and my husband at that time had taken the car to go get the oil changed or something. I knew there was bad weather, but didn't know that a tornado was coming. So I heard a tornado was coming. So I got all of my animals in our big walk-in closet, and I got my radio, cell phone, all the necessities. And so I started praying, and then all of a sudden I heard something that sounded like a train. So I'd never been through a tornado, but I'd heard, it sounds like a train. So I'm thinking, okay, is this a tornado? And so that song, God Keep Me Safe Till the Storm Passes By, or something like that. And so I started singing that. And within a couple of minutes, I didn't hear anything, and it got all quiet. And so that night, or later that afternoon, when my husband came home, we were outside talking to our neighbor. And he said that he was outside on his patio, and he said, I saw the tornado sitting on top of your house. And then a couple minutes, it just moved on and went down the road. And I that just really just hit me, because I realized how close and how much God promised that he would protect us, and he did. It was like God's hand just moved the tornado. And I mean, still today, when yes, it gives you chill bumps. And still today, when there's bad weather and they say a tornado is coming, and I might get, kind of nervous if it's one getting close. But then I remember, God promises protection. He's protected me before. And, and I talk about, I have a lot of different stories in that book. And that's just two of the main ones. And I talk about, there was a span of 2 years that I was always in a valley. It seemed like I was in a valley, and it was always something happening, going on. And people see me, now, and, I'm all smiles, and that's the way I'm always being. But during that 2 years, I was having to it was like I was having to find a reason to smile, even though I knew God was with me. I could feel his presence, and I knew he's with me, but it was so much of experiences that was going on and situations during those 2 years. And you after a point, you get to thinking, it's like, what's going to happen next? That kind of thing. And, after the 2 years, were over, he did take care of me through all of that. And, and now looking back, and I was like, why did I get down for a little bit, but it was just so much happening. It seemed like all at the same time. And
it's human nature, and
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah. I mean, us as humans, things start happening, and we're just like, oh, I'm done, I'm
we're
done.
reactors. I want to talk to you, or what you're saying about the tornado. So you're talking about God's promises is what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
His promises, not the tornado. And we focus on the promises, and every single time it works. And when years and years ago, I found a book called Psalm 91, God's Umbrella of Protection, by a lady from Texas named Peggy Joyce Ruth, 3 first names. And it talks about, Psalm 91 is every protection promise of God is in one chapter. And when I started, so now, I will start, sirens go off for tornadoes or something, anything. I'll start playing that over and over and over on my phone app, the Bible app, Psalm 91. And, shield of protection. Thank you for your shield of protection. Thank you for your shield of protection. And thank you over my home and my car and my children and my family, no matter where they are. And thank you for the protection around my neighborhood and my town. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And everything is gratitude, by the way. Everything begins with gratitude. So, and ends, it should. But that little tiny book with all those stories that, one of the, you hear about the tornadoes, and the hurricane came through and literally wiped out, and you will see pictures every so often, I'll show back up. One house was standing on the beach out of miles of destruction. Not a picture frame was moved. And come to find out that the owners of that were not there, but they were praying over it, praying Psalms 91 over it. And they're not even a picture frame was touched. And they had another house, same exact thing, 2 of their houses, devastation everywhere, but their houses still stood firm because they stood in the faithfulness of God's promises. There's so many stories like that, and I live them all the time. I feel like I'm in favor. Thank you. Thank you for, your shield of protection. And when I'm driving, thank you, your shield of protection. Thank you. And when we can stand in that, walk in that confidence that we are protected and we are all's well, all's well. And because where we are is all we have right this second. And even if our circumstances are not very good, if we can stand in, this is where I have, so I might as well love it enough to know I can take another step. If I don't like where I am, I can take a different next step, but I can't change last step. So that's a common theme in my stories. I'm always like that. But so you've survived cancer, you've survived those depressed moments. But it seems to me that you've probably had a fairly good life overall, and you raised in the farm and crawling up in the barn and curling up with your books and that's just such a fun cliche, I guess, of sitting up in the barn reading your books. And I just think it's kind of fun to think about that. So what's next? What do you let me step back a second. What's your biggest message? What is your biggest message if you wanted to leave something for hope for someone else?
My biggest message is in this life, everybody has some kind of journey they're going through. And that's what I call it in my book, A Journey of Life. And whatever you're going through, don't ever think that anything is impossible. Some people might think, this is just my fate. I just have to deal with it. And to that, I would say, no, it's like you were talking about, keep taking a step forward. And, my motto is always being, say yes and not no. Say yes, take a step forward. That's been my motto. And, just keep taking a step forward. But as you are taking that step forward, call out to God. And whether people believe in God or not believe in God, He is there for everyone. And, call out Him for strength. Ask for Him to give you that inner strength, because what's inside of you will come out, on the outside. So you need to improve. Maybe you need to improve what's inside before, it will come out better on the outside. And so my main message, would be, first off, is to believe in God if you don't believe in God, because, we know one day this earth is going to end and people have to make a choice, they're either going to heaven or they're either going to hell. That would be my first message. And then my second message would be, to believe in God and trust in God. Trust that his promises are true. I mean, I talk about it all through the book, that he will never leave us nor forsake us, no matter what we're going through, whether it's death. And I've went through plenty of that this year with different family members. And, whether it's death or losing a job or, like my cancer or, whatever, finances, whatever you're going through, God is there. God is waiting on us to call out to him and ask for his help. And, he will help, and he's there immediately. It's not like, oh, I have to call him and he didn't answer the phone.
He happens to live inside of us, right? So, he's really close.
Yes,
he knows every single solitary thing about us. And when I talk like this, I'm not talking about religion, because religion sometimes has God in a box, little rules and regulations, but God doesn't have a box.
No.
And if God is love, he can't be not love. So that is something I wasn't really raised with. I just feel like he loves you no matter what, if you're a murderer or if you're a saint. I mean, there's no not love. And so when you learn that there's nothing you can do to be loved more or less by God, nothing. If it's love, that's it. There's no other option for him. And he doesn't, I mean, his compassion and pouring out is just over the top. And because he lives inside of us, and when we call out, that's intimate, right? So, so really, 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 really trusting. And I think I was taught the wrong way to pray, actually, too. So a lot of times, I was taught, please, 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 please. I don't think Jesus ever begged God, please, please help me heal this person. All he did was say, thank you. Thank you is enough. Thank you. Get up and walk. Thank you. Eat the fish. We have gotten so bogged down in the rules and regulations, we forgot about relationship. And so thank you. Thank you for the healing. Thank you. Instead of please, please, I think God's like, I already told you you're healed. So receive it and move on, and quit claiming it. So, there's so many, I'm so sick, or I've got this disease. What if this is what my little change your words, change your life? What if we said, I've been diagnosed with something, but I'm not claiming it. I've just been diagnosed with it. I got to deal with these things. And that way it's a different way of looking at it. And you're taking action and feeling more in control. Does that make sense to you? Yeah.
Yes.
So many people claim their diseases, and I'm like, cancel. I don't say speak what you want, not what you don't want.
And I think so many people, you brought that up, being about gratitude. I think so many people nowadays, whether they go to church or don't go to church, I mean, they're not very, very thankful. And, like I talked about, at the beginning, every morning when I wake up, I thank God for another day, because, I mean, I've had friends that had cancer and they're no longer here, but, God healed them in a different way. But, we need to learn to be thankful for not only the big things, but the little things. Yeah.
Everything. It says in everything, give thanks. Everything doesn't mean most things. It means everything. And even a bad situation. And so those that we've lost, the way I love to think about someone we've lost is, they're dancing with angels. They know everything. They got all knowledge. It's hard on the rest of us for them to be gone, but they're fine. They're better than fine. So that, to me, and gratitude, I think, is absolutely key. And forgiveness, of course, forgiveness is also kind of required to really have freedom of and peace and bliss. I love the word, bliss. So forgiveness is there too. So good. When you come to this show live, we can turn on our cameras and have conversation. If anybody, are you okay if somebody wants to ask a question, whoever's on here?
Sure.
Feel free to just unmute and introduce yourself and ask a question or say hello. This is, so I can't really tell because I'm looking at it on my phone. They're just kind of coming in and out, but they don't have the face. It's just kind of a profile. So anyway, that's the deal. If anybody comes on and wants to listen, wants to have questions and stuff, this is the world's only, Win-Win Women is the world's only interactive and largest, the only interactive women's platform out here. And so ultimately we do want to have live interactions, and that's going to be a fun thing to do. And as I learn how to manage it, so I don't have my glass. I don't have so this is this is live TV, right? This is me. We're just chatting here, but my screen is so small that I really can't see who it is. So anyway, good to, let's get back to where we're going now. So what's next? We've done a lot, gratitude, forgiveness, bliss, Southern Belle. We've done a lot already. So tell me what's next.
I am working on book number 3. Yes.
You have a working title I
already have it. I already have a title. I've already given, Michael, a title. I'm not going to say what the title is because I'm going to keep, everybody in suspense for now. But
so is it a life story again, or do you have, what's it about?
It's not really any stories, but it's going to be another faith book, and it's going to be more on how we relate to God, how we relate to different things. Like you were talking about gratitude, I will probably have a little bit on gratitude in there. A positive attitude versus a negative attitude. Why should we have a positive attitude, when things are going bad, just things like that. And, I believe God has called me to write faith books. And I don't know what's going to be after book number 3, but whatever it is, it's going to be whatever God wants me to write on, because all the books
you're taking the next step, right? You're taking this step so that yes. opens up the path to the next step. You said, say yes, not you. No, my biggest saying is, when intriguing opportunities present themselves and you say yes, things show up. You're going to get so many more blessings if you're in some kind of emotion. And if you're going you find you're going a way that's not working for you, then you pivot. We can change and do something different. So it's not, as long as you're in motion. If you're sitting on the couch as a slug, sitting on the couch and doing nothing, waiting on the blessings, I think you're missing out. You're missing out on the joy of loving people and being out there and loving people. So so we're going to wrap it up. So any last words? What else do you want to share? It's so fun to just have conversation about faith, bold faith.
Yes. I would just like to give a message to any of your listeners that will watch the replay. Go buy my books. Buy both of them, or, just buy my recent one, Divine Promises. And if whatever you're going through in life, it will be I feel like it will be an inspiration to you to keep going and maybe motivate you to, if you don't know God, to find someone, go to a local church and find someone and seek God out and find out, who exactly God is. And I did have one of my friends that live in Florida. She got my book, and I didn't know she had been going through a certain situation. And she told me that she picked up my book and started reading it. And she only read, I think, maybe 15 pages. And she said that helped her with what she was going through, in her situation. And, that made me feel good. That made me feel like I'm doing something worthwhile. And even though I know God is the one that is leading me, and he's the one that is giving me the words that need to be written in the books, it makes a person feel good to know that I am touching. If I've touched at least one person, it's worth it. And I'm hoping I will touch more.
And of course, you certainly do. Even just the attitude, it gives you also a confidence to be, now I'm a published author, I'm a best-selling author. It gives you a different kind of a confidence now that you're not just going through the motions of life. You're actually engaging and helping others find a path. So that's really, it's a beautiful story when people pick it up. I've had some of those similar stories with my little books. It's literally changed one life I know, back in. And so we've got, I want to say, so Debbie, Bebbie Adams, Adams, Debbie Adams books .now.site. Debbie Adams books .now.site. And you can find her books on there, a little bit about her, and just kind of reach out. You can put in your email and she'll reach out back to you. And we're looking forward to, just keep building on all this. So, I just turned 70 and I'm just not stopping. There's no stopping me. There's something else to be, some other person, the next person that needs to be lifted in these unsteady times we're in. We're taking some action. So when you say yes, and when you give thanks in everything, give thanks. And even if you can take a breath, the breath of life, if you can take a breath, then in that split second, you are okay. And you may not be in a great circumstances, but if you can take a breath, then you're alive, right? So you can start visualizing what you want and speaking what you want and moving towards what you want. And if you need support with any of that, Debbie and I both would be happy to, touch base with you. You get in touch with us and see if we can make a difference for you. So Debbie Adams books.now.site, and 2 beautiful books, a beautiful soul, a beautiful spirit, and a happy face. And so thank you so much for joining me today, Debbie. You've just been a delight, and who knows what's next? We're just going to keep on trucking. So,
well, thank you for having me on your show. I've enjoyed it.
Well, great. And by the way, you're a podcast queen now. You've been on a whole bunch of podcasts in the last couple of months, right? Just 10 or so? And so good for you. And very, very excited about that. I'm going to, we'll see. We'll have to listen to some of them. I listened to 1 or 2 of them already, but I'll listen to those. That's very, very cool. So the Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating. This is the last show of 2023. Unbelievable how fast this year has gone. And I look forward to seeing you next week. And I just want you to always remember to choose joy.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. The Charla Anderson Show. encouraging you to stand strong and courageous with bold faith, no fear, immense hope, kindness, and love, especially towards yourself. Visit charlaanderson.com for replays, blogs, and more on her ever-expanding website, as well as watch her live TV show on winwinwomen.tv, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And so that we can continue learning together and growing this community of beautiful souls, we invite you to share the Charla Anderson Show with your circle of friends. Until we meet again next week, remember always, choose joy.